Hello and welcome back to Shakesyear. We are still working on King Lear, and today we get to hear from King Lear, and this will make sense in a minute. We are currently in what the folio calls Act 4, Scene 5, what other versions call Act 4, Scene 6, because other versions inserted a little scene to give some context to what's been going on with Cordelia. But anyway, in Act 4, Scene 5, we started out with Edgar, who's still in disguise as poor Tom, leading blinded Gloucester, who no longer has eyes, to the top of a hill in Dover so that Gloucester can jump off of it and kill himself. But Edgar, of course, doesn't actually want his dad to die because his dad, is his dad, and also kind of apologized for being mean to Edgar a couple of times when Edgar got to hear it and when Gloucester didn't know that that was Edgar, so he knows that it has to be real. One of those things. Anyway, so he takes his dad to like a thing that's about this high and lets him jump off, and then he plays the, oh my god, you fell from so high, it's a miracle that you survived, blah blah blah. He plays that whole thing, and Gloucester is still being a little bit of a sourpuss because he wanted to be dead after that whole thing, but now he's not, and so he has to keep on living. And he and Edgar are having a little bit of like a, not quite a heart-to-heart. My guess is that it would turn into a heart-to-heart if King Lear didn't run in with a crown of thorns and nettles and things, which when I played Lear, this was my crown of thorns and nettles that my stage manager Mel made for me. So Lear comes running in and he's mostly talking nonsense and flitting from topic to topic, and similar to some of his other rantings, excuse me, there are elements in there of things that actually happened. He talks about like when the rain came to wet him once, and he talks about being told that he had gray hair in his beard before the black one was there, so that whole like thou shouldst have been old, or thou shouldst not have been old till thou hast been wise, all that sort of stuff. So there's these references, but also like he sees a mouse and he shoots a fake bird in the sky and all that sort of stuff. He's kind of all over the place, and he's not well. He's not happy. He's like, all of these people lied to me because they told me I was everything, but I'm not impervious to pain. And Gloucester's like, wait a second, I know that voice. Is that not the king? And Lear says, aye, every inch a king. When I stare, see how the subject quakes. I pardon that man's life. What was thy cause? Adultery. Thou shalt not die. Die for adultery? No. The wren goes to it, and the small gilded fly does lecher in my sight. Let copulation thrive, for Gloucester's bastard son was kinder to his father than my daughters got tween the lawful sheeps. To it, luxury, pell-mell, for I like soldiers. Behold, yon simpering dame, whose face between her forks presages snow, that minces virtue and does shake the head to hear of pleasure's name. The fichu, nor the soiled horse, goes to it with a more riotous appetite. Down from the waist they are centaurs, the women all above, but to the girdle do the gods inherit. Beneath is all the fiends. There's hell, there's darkness, there is the sulphurous pit, burning, scalding, stench, consumption, fie, pah. Give me an ounce of civet, good apothecary, to sweeten my imagination. There's money for thee. And then I love this bit because Gloucester says, give me thy royal hand and let me kiss it. And Lear says, let me wipe it first. It smells of mortality. So anyway, what he's getting at here... What he's getting at here is that, yes, he's the king, but maybe some of the things that I believe goes back to a little bit of what was happening in the storm, where he started to empathize with the poor people in his kingdom. He had maybe been a little too strict before, and now, if he were king now, he would pardon things like adultery, because everybody's having sex all over the place, and what difference does it make if you're married or not, because Edgar was kinder to Gloucester than Regan and Goneril have been to him. So like, he played by the rules, he did the right thing, but was treated really horrible. And then he launches into this thing about women and how women are supposed to be all proper and like turn their heads against sex and everything like that, but the most prim and proper women are the ones who have the biggest sexual appetites, is kind of what he's getting at here, until he needs to like clean his brain out, so he asks an imaginary apothecary for an ounce of civet, which was like a soap or a perfume, more of a perfume kind of a thing, to clear out the icky thoughts. So then he sits down with Gloucester, and there's a little bit of back and forth as Gloucester's trying to get him to say, like, yes, I'm the king and I know who you are, all of that sort of stuff. But Lear is still talking a little bit in riddles, and he has empathy for Gloucester having his eyes gouged out, but also doesn't have empathy for it, because he doesn't necessarily see it as a hindrance, at least where he is right now, because he's like, you have all of these other senses that you can, he's like, you can hear or you can see with your ears, like listen to that conversation over there between a good person and a bad person, but then just switch the roles, and how do you tell which is the good person and which is the bad person, that kind of a thing. So he's gotten very philosophical in his craziness, and he sort of maybe not popping in and out of lucidity, but at least playing with whether or not people can tell if he's really there or not, as Gloucester is trying to get him to say something real and acknowledge that he knows who Gloucester is, as they start to reconcile. And there's a little bit more of their conversation that we get to hear of tomorrow before we get to wrap up the scene. So you'll probably get to see the Crazy Crown one more time. I just like showing it off. Anyway, thanks, Mel. And yeah, I will see you tomorrow for more of Lear's crazy but insightful philosophizing as he has lost everything. I'll see you tomorrow.